Right, now let's start our investment journey with Zabu List 2023 by using the USSD code *292#. And of course, you will be ready to kickstart off that investment journey. It is something that you should definitely be part of in 2023, investing your money into the Ugandan financial market space. Of course, Zabu welcomes you to this particular space with a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings. It will be so simple and so easier for you if you want to invest in bonds and securities. So Zabu, which is a platform by Altex East Africa, says, you can do something new and make it count at the end of it all. So it is that simple and that possible if you are to invest more in bonds and securities. Zabu's markets open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Zabu, my money, my future. Altex East Africa says do something new. And you can do something new today, by the way, by investing in bonds and securities. These markets are only closed on weekends and public holidays. Now let's get our business tip this morning. So the business tip says, stick to the budget. Overspending can be the death of your business. In fact, according to a study conducted by the United States Bank, 82% of small businesses fail due to poor cash flow management. When creating your budget and business plan, a tip is to overestimate expenses and underestimate income. That way you will never be stretched too thin and always be prepared for the unexpected costs. So as this particular tip says, that stick to the budget. That a tip is to overestimate your expenses and underestimate your income. So that way you'll never be stretched too thin and always be prepared for the unexpected costs that will be attached or aligned to your same purpose if you are to look at that. So the major focus here is to stick to the budget because once you do so, you will be able to as well stick to the most important budget of all time. So do not overestimate your expenses, overestimate your expenses and underestimate your purchases at the end of the day. So your income has to be underestimated, and then you have to overestimate the expenses, because at the end of the day, one of the other may outweigh and bring you challenges or bring you some issues. So kickstart off your investment journey in a way that is that way, but stick to the budget if you are to succeed ably in that space. Well, besides that, now let's have our business quote this morning. Tim O'Reilly, who is the founder and CEO of O'Reilly Media, says money is like gasoline during a road trip. You don't want to run out of gas on your trip, but you're not doing a tour of gas stations. So according to Tim O'Reilly, founder and CEO of O'Reilly Media, money is like gasoline during the road trip. You don't want to run out of gas on your trip, but you're not doing a tour of gas stations. So at the end of the day, it may not be necessary for you to focus more on the money, but again, you shouldn't run out of money if at all you are to succeed in your business. However, Matt, we are saying that it should not be the center of your business, but again, you should not run out of money, or you should not accept your business to run short of the money as well, if we are to look at the same situation continuously in regards to more of what is happening from the money matters space and more of that particular perspective. Well, besides that, that is the business quote. Now let's get back to our updates on business that is coming in now. This particular update takes us back to the electricity subsector performance. There has been the operationalization of the Electricity Amendment Act 2022, which kickstarted off last year. Then the payment of royalties this year will be paid to the local government, and there's also going to be an introduction of direct purchase of electricity. That is according to Ruth Nankabira, who is the Minister of Energy. So let's have more of these particular updates this morning.
We have started on operationalization of the Electricity Amendment Act of 2022. Many of you were in Parliament when this bill was passed into law, and on the 15th of May of this year, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda assented to this bill, to this act. And the amendments became effective on the 14th of June of this year, and we published it in the Gazette. So, and this amendment or amended act has various benefits to Ugandans, but for the benefit of this briefing, allow me to expound on the following provisions that will be operationalized next year, 2023. One, the payment of royalties. This is a new introduction in this bill. In line with Section 75, particularly subsection 7A of this Act, all renewable energy generators will begin paying royalties to local governments in their respective areas of operation. Renewable energy, this includes solar. Yes. Solar requires big chunks of land. You come with your solar panels, you establish, you use sun given to you freely. But we thought that the communities that host such generation plants must also feel part and parcel. And there is some money there, about 272 shillings per megawatt hour generated. So the bigger the plant, the more royalties the communities will get. And I want to urge communities, really local governments from those that are going to benefit, to plan for this little money so that we see development coming from this money. The private investment in the transmission segment. The transmission segment has been opened up for private sector investment, and my ministry has developed the necessary framework for its full operationalization. I will therefore encourage the public to seize this opportunity and support government in expanding the power supply grid to promote the country's socio-economic transformation. We also introduced direct purchase of electricity. You've been hearing about the monopoly that Uganda Electricity Transmission Company has been enjoying for so many years, being the single buyer of electricity, all electricity generated. Now, this was opened up by the amendment that was passed through Parliament. So we are calling upon people to come and partake. And with this amendment, we hope that the manufacturers who qualify will be able to purchase electricity direct from the power generators, and a tariff of 5 American US cents per kilowatt hour for industrial parks that are willing to increase production capacity to maintain their monthly billing invoices without affecting the financial sustainability of the electricity supply industry shall be implemented effective January 2023. We introduced this to avoid a shortfall. This has been a standing directive by the President to the Minister of Energy to sell power at 5 US cents to the industrial parks. But that came with a shortfall. And as an industry that supplies electricity, we figured it very difficult to ask for a subsidy from government at this particular moment when we are grappling with a lot of challenges, economic challenges. So we are saying that if you can maintain the invoices that you have been paying, we can give you power at 5 US cents so that we avoid the shock. We avoid the shock. And I know that there are industries, more than 30 of them, that have committed to this. So by doing this, we are forcefully telling them to increase production, increase demand. So more than 30, and I want to encourage many more to partake of this provision. In addition to the above, the regulator shall now fast-track the development of the net metering regulation to support the rooftops and other industrial commercial power installations to exchange power with the main grid to contribute to improved reliability and security of power supply. This net metering is a new policy which we have tested, we have piloted. When you look at what is at Kololo Airstrip, that pavilion, the rooftop at the pavilion is covered by solar panels. We are generating solar electricity there. But the required amount of electricity to light up the airstrip is little, depending on how much we are generating from the rooftop of the pavilion. So what happens to the balance? So the regulator has to come up with that arrangement, which they call in their term net metering. So net metering is going to help many people who will be using their infrastructure to generate power and sell excess power to us to be loaded on the grid. On the accelerated access to electricity, pursuant to the government's aspiration of accelerating electricity access to 80% by 2027, this is provided in Vision 2040 and also the National Development Plan 3. The government has packaged a number of programs to accelerate electricity connections and enhance electricity access to power supply in the whole country. This includes one, the hybrid customer connection financing framework. I held a press conference recently when we were launching this. And from what I have received from the communities, there is a lot of excitement. And so I would like to call upon everybody to take in interest in understanding this hybrid packaging. And under this framework, the government has reduced the cost of no-pole new customer connection from 720,883 Ugandan shillings to 470,000 Ugandan shillings through a subsidy of 250,883 Ugandan shillings for each no-pole connection. This is a subsidy. Emitwala 25 bedu. You are not going to pay that. As if that's not enough, the government of Uganda, through Uganda Development Bank, has provided a credit line of 270,000 Ugandan shillings. Credit line, which will not attract interest. No interest rate attracted. For those who are unable to pay the lump sum of 470,000, you have this credit line of 270, which you'll be able to pay slowly with no interest. That leaves you with 200,000 shillings that you are supposed to look for and pay upfront. You have been paying 720,000 upfront. Now you are going to pay 200,000 upfront. The other 270, which is a credit line from our bank, you will be paying through payment of purchase of the electricity, a small percentage, and it will depend on how much electricity you consume. If you are that big, you can finish payment in 1 year or 2 years. But if you are that small consumer, we are giving you a period of 8 good years within which to complete. And we have made a calculation, and we know that 8 years is a good period for everybody. So as we enter 2023, this is a very clear announcement that will make us connect people who have been sleeping with electric poles nearby without having been connected. Please, for those who need more than a pole, there are programs that, like I'm going to explain, that can benefit you. Don't worry that you have been left behind. We have other arrangements. For example, we have the Get Access arrangement. The government of Uganda, on the 13th of December of this year, launched a 35 million euro Get Access project to be implemented for the duration of 7 years, 35 million euros, with the procurement of developers planned to commence in 2023. And the project funds are provided by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and the European Union through the German Development Bank, KfW. The project consists of 150 mini-grids to provide clean energy to areas far from the main grid, with approximately 5 to 6 megawatts in total, and this will be with installed capacity across Uganda. Mini grids not beyond 6 megawatts. So this will help us see electricity. I don't want to mention the far Kalapatan, up there, the many islands, the 54 islands of Buvuma. Buvuma is the only district which has not been connected, Buvuma and Maracha. Otherwise, all the districts of Uganda have been connected to the national grid. Kalangala is connected, but Kalangala has other islands. So we need to create mini grids for them, and with affordable tariffs, of course. That is one. The other one is energy access scale up. You remember the law was passed in Parliament, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and the entire Parliament for having realized that this is something where we needed unanimous support, like I witnessed in Parliament, and we are not going to disappoint you. This is going to help us support over 1,360,000 households, which are going to get connected. Industrial parks, SMEs, refugees and host communities will get connected to electricity under this ECP, Electricity Connection Policy. Refugees and host communities are very key. We need to light up. We started, we are just continuing with lighting up the refugees and surrounding communities. We are also going to see the commissioning of Karuma hydropower plants. The Karuma hydropower plant. Uganda expects a load of 600 megawatts to its installed generation capacity with commissioning of the Noya-based Karuma hydropower plant. The additional Karuma hydropower plant will not only enhance the country's power generation capacity, but will also strengthen, and improve the stability of the power supply grid. Further still, Karuma hydropower plant is among the plants with the lowest tariff as compared to the rest of the generation plants in the country. This is because we used public finance, 15%, and so the end user, the tariff from this Karuma will be a bit lower. And if fully dispatched, the plant will reduce the overall weighted average cost of generation, which will lead to reduction in the end user tariffs. And this effort to reduce the end user tariff remains a key aspiration of the country as an enabler to industrialization for social and economic transformation. The other one is that with the commissioning of Karuma hydropower plant, we also expect the West Nile region to be connected to the transmission grid by March 2023. Inshallah. If those who are cutting the pylons stop cutting the pylons. This is our roadmap. Establishment of upcountry regional offices by the Electricity Regulatory Authority is another achievement or another plan which we will achieve in 2023. The government of Uganda is keen on improving electricity service, and therefore, in this year coming, we will support the Electricity Regulatory Authority to decentralize and establish regional offices for ease of service, access to services. And this is expected to enable the regulator to heighten its supervision of licensed electricity service providers with respect to the quality and reliability of power supply. ERA has commenced the process and will begin with Gulu for the northern and Mbarara for the western regions, and later roll out to the other regions to cover the entire country. I also want to brief you on the host of the Independent Regulatory Board, IRB, of the Eastern Africa Power Pool. Eastern Africa Power Pool is comprised of 11 countries. The 7 countries of East Africa, the ones you know, you add on Egypt, you add on Ethiopia, you add on Somalia, you add on which one else? We are 11 under this power pool. So I am pleased to inform you, ladies and gentlemen, that the electricity subsector is not only registering milestones locally, but also regionally. And Uganda was recently overwhelmingly voted by the members of the East African Power Pool, IRB, to host the regional offices of the Independent Regulatory Board in Kampala. The Independent Regulatory Board is a regional institution established in 2005 to coordinate cross-border power trade and grid interconnection among nations of the Eastern Africa region. Hosting its secretariat, among other benefits, provides Uganda with the opportunity to build and leverage expertise and enables it to steer the agenda of that body while playing a lead role in developing the regional East African Power Pool to enable power trading across the Eastern African countries. So with that arrangement, we are planning to do more generation. We are planning to develop Ayago, 840 megawatts. We are planning to develop Kiba, 400 megawatts. We are planning to develop Orion, 392 megawatts, because we have that regional market. But even internally, we do still need power. We do still demand much more power. So 2023 will see us also invest in power generation. The African Development Bank Electricity Regulatory Index Excellency has done it again. And I'm happy to report or inform you that the 5th edition of Electricity Regulatory Index, ERI, released mid this month by the African Development Bank, Uganda maintained its top position in the Regulatory Generation Index, the Regulatory Substance Index, and the Regulatory Outcome Index among the 43 countries with confirmed regulatory authorities. We are defending champions. Uganda continues to lead the continent with a robust and well-developed electricity regulatory framework and has held this #1 position consecutively since 2018, when the index survey was first launched. This not only profiles the country but also boosts investor confidence in the country. I therefore sincerely congratulate Electricity Regulatory Authority and all Ugandans for this outstanding performance. I therefore take this opportunity to congratulate you, ERA, and the electricity supply industry at large on the strides made in 2022 towards supporting the country's aspirations. I want to thank His Excellency the President for his insightful leadership and the prioritization of the energy sector. The support that he gives me in cabinet, when we are debating the budget, when we are discussing bills in cabinet, we introduced the Energy Fund in this amended Electricity Act, the Energy Fund, and he was our #1 supporter. I am so grateful. With his support, we will achieve a lot. Of course, all that has not come without challenges. We've been faced with challenges. Some of the projects stalled due to COVID-19 because we work with communities. We could not go to the ground to monitor. The infrastructure had to stall because we had to mingle and mix with people. And yet COVID-19 demanded that we stay at home, we keep distance. Those are challenges. The challenges that the chair of the board mentioned, the rising cost of fuel, of course affected us. We deal in dollars. Whenever the shilling depreciates, the sector suffers. But the biggest challenge has been the vandalism. As we extend, we pull the national grid, there are people who are pulling us back. And it is becoming something else. And I would like to take this opportunity to really warn those who are involved in cutting down of our pylons that we know the network now. We know the network, and I want to really caution the scrap dealers, those factories that create a market for the scrap. I have to sit with them before I announce something. Beginning January, I will sit with the scrap dealers because I don't want them to say I didn't warn them. We know the network of notorious boys. We know how they are doing it. We even know our own police officers who help in this business. We know them, and therefore this cannot be business as usual. So the network is known. We are just waiting for the H hour to swing in action. But I want to thank the vigilant Ugandans who have, first of all, given me information in confidence, but they have also gone ahead to intercept the materials that have been stolen or that have been bought or that have been vandalized. And we have been seeing and reading in papers almost every week trucks being impounded carrying these materials and vandals being taken to police. And I'd like to encourage police to handle these vandals seriously, because these are not petty thieves. These are equivalent of terrorists who are terrorizing people. If you are in theater operating and power just goes off abruptly, you end up losing your life. So I encourage police and I encourage the judiciary. The judiciary is independent, very independent. I cannot instruct them, but I just encourage them to handle expeditiously these cases. I know that they have a backlog of cases, but cases dealing with vandals must be handled in a special way. So I thank those who have been vigilant, who have been calling us, giving us information, and please continue with your vigilance. I cannot sit down without mentioning a caution about the diseases that we've been having. That COVID-19 is still around. We want you live as we connect you to electricity. We want you to enjoy this clean energy. Ebola has been fought. I want to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President and the entire medical team that we can now talk about Ebola being really handled very well. HIV/AIDS is still with us. This is now becoming a silent killer. We lose about 170,000 people every year. We are still with this scourge of HIV/AIDS. As we cross over 2023, we thank God that we are crossing over live, and we want to see health people. In 2023, that's when we can talk about a health economy, because the human resource is very key in economic development. So those diseases, even malaria, is a very serious killer. Malaria, please make sure that you clean up your spaces deep in the villages there. Make sure that you discard empty containers. Make sure that you sleep under a mosquito net. As a mother, I thought that I will end my submission by having a caution or an information on good living. Finally, I call upon Ugandans to take the opportunity the sector presents to you in this coming year, such as investment opportunities, reduced costs of connection, and tariff incentives to transform your lives socially and economically.
2023, that among others that will be taking effect this very year as well. So as you can definitely look through 2023, do expect a lot of new changes from various sectors of the economy. When we do return after the break, we shall be looking at sports business and entertainment business. Good morning.